everyone. Let's get ready for chapter 2. I forgot how much I like this book. It is so full of adventure, and I'm pretty sure, boys, you are going to love this book. Girls, I think it's super fun. It's full of action. But yeah, I think you guys are going to like it too. So just real quick, the questions for chapter 2 that I want you to answer. Excuse me. Um, all you're going to do is just describe the two characters. So pay attention um, while I'm reading. Okay, how does Gabe look? What are some traits that we learned about him? And then we're going to get introduced to another character. His name is Raymond. So talk or write down, think about how he is described as well. Okay, so be paying attention while I'm reading. All right. Okay, here we go. Chapter 2. The wind blew cold across the Great Slave Lake, even at the end of August, and the first leaves were starting to fall from the birches outside my dorm room. It was still a week before school started, and the dorm room was empty. I felt like I'd landed at the end of the earth, which pretty much was the case. My father was up somewhere between Yellowknife and the Arctic Ocean on a remote drill site, working 7 days a week. Before long, they'd be working by artificial light. So, something that happens in Alaska and Canada, especially the Northwest Territories, is that they will have days of like absolutely no sunlight. Like, there are times where you'll get 1 hour of sunlight, um, and it's starting to happen already. So, what Clint said in the first paragraph, so it's August, and there's already 3 hours less sunlight compared to July. So think about that. That would be like right now, our sun sets at just before 7 o'clock. So in May, it would be setting at 4 o'clock. That's just how different it is. So kind of crazy, right? All right. Every fourth week, my father would have his time off, and that's when I'd see him. He was used to that life, from the rigs in the Gulf of Mexico and the North Sea, and he had the stamina to keep up with it. So what was I doing here? I was asking myself. How much chance was there that I was going to get to see the real North my father had been writing me about and telling me about on his visits back to Texas? I was going to be stuck in this boarding school in the only city in the whole Northwest Territories. I'd done this to myself, I thought. Now I'm just going to be alone in a place where I don't know anybody. I decided to get out and walk, at least see Yellowknife. I spent a couple of days taking a good look at this boomtown that was the capital of the Northwest Territories. Yellowknife was sure enough bustling. It looked modern, lots of steel, concrete, and glass, lots of government buildings, lots of bars. I spotted my first moose droppings in downtown Yellowknife. They were encased in the clear plastic of a tabletop at the Moose Burger Cafe. They looked about like a deer's, only a whole lot bigger. I thought of Clint. Now, something to think about. Moose are actually massive, okay? I didn't think that they were as big as they are until I looked them up, okay? So look up pictures of moose next to like cars or people. Do it with a parent because I don't want you Googling just to Google by yourself. I want you to do it with a parent, okay? But see how big these moose actually are. I was blown away when I saw this. It's pretty intense. I want you to find it, and then when you do, email me your reaction because it blows my mind how big moose really are. I thought they were like the size of like an elk or a deer. They are not. So, so look it up. Let me know your reaction and like how you feel about moose being as big as they are, all right? Here we go. Sorry, sidebar. Um, I hoped I'd get some chances to see the real Northwest Territories while I was up here. That's what I came for, I was telling myself. Walking around and looking at buildings had never been very high on my list. I could just imagine flying over all that wild country, like those bush pilots get to do. Unfortunately, I didn't have a bush pilot at my disposal. I settled instead for holing up in my room with a Zane Grey novel about the Navajos. I go through a book every 3 or 4 days: westerns, mysteries, science fiction. I brought quite a few with me. Most of the students had checked in, but I was still waiting for my roommate to arrive. This much I knew about him. He was born on the 21st of December, same as me. They gave out the room assignments by pairing new kids with birthdays closest together, and you can't get much closer than being born on the same day, same year. The lady at the housing office told me that my roommate was a Dene, that it was his first year at the school too, that his name was Raymond Providence, and that he was from a remote village. "What's a Dene?" I asked her. "It's spelled Dene," she said. "They're native people. You're probably used to calling them Indians back where you come from. They speak an Athabascan dialect called Slavey." I wondered if my roommate would speak much English. This was going to be interesting. I was starting on my third paperback when Raymond finally showed up, the evening before classes started. He came through the door lugging a huge duffel bag, a hockey stick, and a bright red electric guitar. He was wearing jeans and a plaid Pendleton shirt. A little taller than me, he was a handsome kid with light brown skin and thick black hair down on his collar. He took a quick look at me, but his face was completely without expression, his dark brown eyes guarded and remote. Now what, I thought. As he set his guitar down on his bed, I said, "Are you a rock star by any chance?" It was a dumb thing to say. I guess I was uncomfortable. I was wondering what he was thinking about having a roommate with blue eyes and dirty blonde hair. I hoped he could see that I was just trying to be friendly. "Not hardly," he said quietly, standing the hockey stick in the corner by the sink, then sitting on his bed and looking round at the confines of our room. Well, at least he speaks English, I thought. I might as well try again. Glancing at his hockey stick, I said, "I don't know much about hockey. Football's the big thing where I come from. I have heard of Wayne Gretzky, though. How they call him the Great One. Are you a pretty good hockey player?" "Pretty good, yeah." That got a smile out of him. But even while he was smiling, his eyes stayed remote and cautious. Maybe he was a kid who'd never been away from home before. I gave him some space and went back to the book I was reading. He started unpacking. After a while, he was back sitting on the edge of his bed looking around. I could see his eyes go to the picture over on my desk, the one of my dad and me standing beside a raft down in the canyons of the Rio Grande in West Texas. "That's my dad," I said. "He's up here working." "Oh," Raymond said. "Is he on the drilling rigs?" "All the time. He's hoping to save up enough money so he can get some land back in Texas. We want to build a house. So, how about you? It's a nice looking guitar you got. Are you in a rock band back home?" "Yeah, sort of." "Maybe you can get a band together here." "They already told me I can't play my guitar." "You mean not in the dorm?" "Not anywhere at this school, I guess." "Could you switch to acoustic?" From the look on his face, it was like I'd asked him to take up the harpsichord. I said, "They got a lot of rules and regulations here, that's for sure. I've never been in a school like this. I guess it's kind of like being in the army. So, where are you from?" "Nahanni Butte." "Nahanni," I repeated. "Hey, I heard that name before. Is it anywhere close to the Nahanni River?" "It's right where the Nahanni River meets the Liard River." "Got it now," I said. "Famous for headless men?" And dinosaurs? He laughed. Those headless guys must be world famous. I was pleased to see him relax a little. I've never heard the part about the dinosaurs before, Raymond added with a smile. Are you from Texas? How'd you know that? He shrugged. The way you talk. I guess I must talk funny. Sounds normal to me. I grew up in the hill country near the Guadalupe River. I've heard that name before. Guadalupe River. Isn't it a little river that people float down on inner tubes? How did you ever hear that? I asked in amazement. I saw it on MTV. It was a show about spring break in different places. It looked fun. Hundreds of people splashing around and all that. The water must be pretty warm. We used to do that all the time. It's real near where I lived. You get MTV all the way up here? On satellite. We get 39 channels. That's a lot more than I got back home in Texas. My grandparents don't even get cable. You live with your grandparents? I've mostly lived with them since my mother died. Almost 9 years now. They're nice and all that, but it's pretty slow. That got a laugh out of Raymond. Man, you should try Nahanni Butte sometime if you